We're heading back to Columbia from Fulton. Stopped by and got a little bit of nourishment. Now we're going to talk about motorcycle accidents. First of all, the starting point is, who's at fault? You usually know when it's you. So if you low side or you run into a ditch, or even if you hit some gravel, you run into someone, you run a red light, you're at fault. Your options are a little bit limited, a little bit more limited, because I didn't have a blinker on. That was nice. See, if I would have gone there, they would have been at fault because, well, they didn't have their freaking blinker on. So anyways, that's why you gotta be careful. Even though other people might be at fault, you gotta protect yourself. So if you're at fault, you do have something. If you have it on your insurance policy, you can get what's called med pay. Now that's normally limited, especially on motorcycle policies. Med pay normally has $1, $3, $5, or $10,000 limits on them. I don't know why that's what they are, but that's usually what they are: 1, 3, 5, or 10. There are policies over 10, but they're very, very rare. We hardly ever see. I've only seen a couple $10,000 policies, and I've seen a lot of cases. But that's a no-fault insurance, and that's on your insurance. So even if you're at fault for the crash, you can get payment for medical bills. Now, this is not health insurance. This is something different. This is on your auto policy. But you also have health insurance coverage if you have health insurance. So if you're at fault, you've got those options. That's to pay for any treatment that you've gotten. Damage to your bike, you're SOL, okay? You're probably out of pocket for that. Let's say someone else is at fault, which happens quite a bit. Because of motorcyclists, I don't know, I'd say the majority of the calls that we get, it's funny, the majority of the auto accident calls we get, we can't do anything for the other driver because they're usually at fault. For some reason with motorcyclists, the motorcyclist is usually the one that's not at fault. I don't know if that's because motorcyclists were more careful or what it is, but that is a fact if you look at our numbers. So now, who knows? Maybe if you looked at another attorney's numbers, then it's a whole different story. But the majority of the calls we get, the motorcyclist is not at fault. But so you're going to, if the other driver has insurance, you're going to be pursuing a claim against them, their insurance company. If they do not have insurance, you are going to be doing what's called an uninsured motorist claim through your insurance company. And you're probably saying, well, why would I go through my insurance company? Well, if you're really freaking jacked up and injured, you probably want to get your treatment. I mean, if you're not injured, then obviously get your property damage taken care of if you've got full coverage. Otherwise, you're going to want to get your treatment, because in 10 years, and you're still suffering for these injuries, there's no going back. There's only a 5-year statute of limitations in Missouri and only a 2-year statute of limitations in Illinois. So you're going to want to protect yourself. It's an investment in yourself and your body. If you missed time from work, in your family because of lost wages, so you're going to be able to get that. So something you're going to have to look at, and I recommend if you don't have underinsured motorist coverage. So let's say the other driver, they're at fault and the insurance company pays for it, and the truth of the matter in Missouri is that motorcycle injuries are far more severe than just your standard auto accident, okay? And so you're going to have pretty high medical bills, and you're probably going to hit the policy limits of whatever the other driver had. And so you're going to need to look into having some underinsured motorist coverage. Now, this is different than uninsured. I'm saying underinsured. So underinsured motorist coverage is something you want to look into, because that's just going to cover you above the other driver's insurance policy. Now, if you have uninsured motorist coverage, let's say you have uninsured motorist coverage of $100,000, your underinsured motorist coverage is not going to protect you. So if the other driver does not have insurance, the underinsured does not apply. The underinsured only applies when you have the other driver's at fault and their insurance policy is exhausted. That's when you're going to go through your own policy for underinsured motorist coverage. So you got MedPay, You've got the other driver's insurance, you've got uninsured motorist and underinsured motorist coverage. Now let's talk about investigating it. Cars have black boxes. Most motorcycles do not have black boxes. Those are called event data recorders, right? You don't need to know really anything else about that other than they're like a black box on a airplane or on a car. All right, so that's what it is. Those could protect you in a car crash because it could say, okay, how fast were you going? What was the speed at the time of impact? Things like that. It's not really going to protect you though because you're a motorcyclist, okay? You probably don't have that on your bike, but if it does, you're going to want to have an investigator pull that data. It's very important. So even if you're in a car crash, get that data because it can really help you. It's expensive to get, but if it's a serious crash, you're going to want to get it. So make sure you look into that. You're going to want to hire an investigator to investigate the crash, witness interviews, accident reconstruction. A lot of that needs to be done at the very, very beginning of the case because you're going to lose a lot of that information as time goes by. So with a motorcycle crash, it's very important to get out to the scene, take photographs, get witness interviews, and get your scene, your investigation wrapped up. Because here's the thing: the other driver's insurance company, they're going to do their investigation. The police are going to do a very, very minimal investigation. Okay, so don't expect that the police are going to do an accident reconstruction because they're not. Don't expect them to do a full investigation when it comes to interviewing witnesses. Don't expect any of that. Don't expect the police to do that because that's, I mean, honestly, it's not their job. I mean, they're pretty busy people. They're gonna take the information. They're gonna do a little narrative. They're gonna do a brief diagram, and that's about it. Now, if it's a death case, a lot of times they will. If it's the Missouri Highway Patrol, a lot of times they'll do an accident reconstruction. They're really, really good at it. I gotta say though, it's not that common. I mean, it's maybe 1% of motorcycle or car crashes. Well, you see that was bumpy. But don't expect them to do the accident reconstruction. And if you hire an attorney, just so you know, a lot of times they'll pay for it. I mean, it's going to come out of any settlement, but they'll do the upfront. They'll pay the upfront expense, which is could be anywhere from $1,500 on the very low end, up to $10,000 on the high end. But you're probably looking around $3,000 to $5,000 for the accident reconstruction. But that's going to be needed to prove your case if it's a disputed liability. So make sure you take scene photographs. If you're too injured and you need a family member to do it, send them out to do it. Your best bet in serious crashes is to hire an attorney just because they can get all that lined up for you. And this isn't me trying to push you to hire an attorney. You can do whatever you want. I'm just telling you, your outcome is probably going to be better if you do hire an attorney. If it's just a small fender bender and you're not that injured, do it on your own. You don't really need an injury attorney. We turn away a lot of small cases just because it's better off for you in the long run. I mean, there's a little bit we can do for you. Will you probably get more? Yes, but not enough to truly offset the fee. I mean, even after the fee, you're probably gonna get a little bit more, but it's still for very, very, and I'm talking about maybe you go to the emergency room and you feel better after that. If it's more serious than that, where you need extensive follow-up care, you probably need an attorney just because you're going to get a higher return and you're going to get the treatment you need. There's a lot of factors that you're going to look at because you're going to be looking at lost wages, documenting your lost wages, documenting your care, getting you the care, because at least our firm, we've got a lot of access. We have a huge network of doctors to get you to, especially if you don't have health insurance, because that's a factor. I mean, a lot of doctors won't treat you if you don't have health insurance, and so we've got doctors that will, and they'll just what they do is they put a lien on the case, and what that means is they'll get paid at the end of the case, which is it's a nice thing for you. It's a pretty good benefit, so something you might want to consider when your case. After the case, after you've done the investigation, or actually during at the same time, get treatment right away. I think especially guys, you're hesitant and you say, I'll tough it out. Maybe a bunch of you tough Harley guys out there, you try to tough it out, and I'm sort of stereotyping you, but I'm right on this. You Harley guys, man, you try to tough things out and you think that it'll go away, and then it doesn't, and then months and months go by and you try and file a claim, and by that point it's just too late. The insurance company's gonna say, well, this is unrelated. How do I know you didn't get in another crash? You can't connect causally. Here's the other part, is doctors causally have to connect your injuries to your crash, and if you did not get any treatment right away, they're not gonna be able to do that. So you have to be really, really careful and get that treatment right away to document your injuries. And this is not one of these things where, oh, you know, you've got to go to a chiropractor right away to run up your bills. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's all about documenting your injuries from the beginning, and then if you are more seriously injured, following up and getting more care. Motorcycle injuries, like I said before, they're different. They're way different than what a car crash case is, because you have a lot more scarring involved, you have road rash, the injuries are more severe, but the treatment pattern is the same. And what I mean by pattern is it's called conservative care. And what you do is you're going to go to the emergency room either by ER or yourself, and if it's after the fact, go to urgent care. It's going to be faster for you. You're going to get generally the same care. Once you've done that, you're going to go to either to a chiropractor or to your general practitioner. Now this next part I'm going to tell you is very crucial, and I'm going to tell you why. So I'm going to sort of sidetrack for a second. You are going to want to get an MRI very, very early in the case, okay? And the reason for that is because of this. You want to find out what's wrong with you. Broken bones you can determine with an x-ray, but you can't determine a lot of more serious soft tissue injuries, tears, things like that through an x-ray. You're only going to be able to find those through an MRI. And what happens in a lot of places is the general practitioner sends you to physical therapy, or a chiropractor treats you, and you treat for 9 months, and you're still in pain, and no one has sent you anywhere else. And so they finally say, hey, let's do an MRI. You do the MRI, you figure out you've got a tear. Well, the same issue you had when I was talking about before, where the insurance companies say, no, how do we know this isn't from something else? Maybe this happened from work, maybe you're a laborer, and maybe this happened at work. We can't say that this happened from the car crash or the motorcycle crash. So get the MRI up front. And if you can't find a place to do it, call us. Even if you're trying to do it on your own, I'll tell you some places you can go to that'll help you out and treat you on a lien and get paid out of the crash, because you need to find out right away what's wrong with you so you can get treated appropriately. Because if you have a tear, you don't want to go through chiropractic care and physical therapy for 6 months if you've got a tear. I mean, it's gonna be painful, and you're not gonna get any better. Okay, so you may need surgery, and you want to find out right away. That's gonna bring me back to that conservative care. Just because you have a tear doesn't mean you have to get the surgery. So here's what you have. You got you go to your ER, then your primary, and then either physical therapy or a chiropractor. And then once you've done that, if that's not getting any better, and if it's like 3 months and you're still not better, you need to be asking for another doctor or referral to another doctor. And what that might be is pain management. And by pain management, that means sometimes it could be medication, it could be injections, and not just injections to numb the pain, but injections that could actually make you to make you better. If you've got concussion, brain injuries, head injuries, which are common in motorcycle crashes, it's funny, Botox is something that can help with that. So this isn't something that I think you would probably know on your own. This is something that you're going to get. This is the guidance you're going to get from an attorney that's been doing this for a while. But the next step is injections, okay, or conservative care, pain management. And after you've gone through the pain management side of things, and if it's still not getting better, then you're going to look at getting a surgery consult, because no one wants to go under the knife. But you want to get that consult with a doctor and try to see, okay, do I need this? If I do need this, or actually, not just do I need this, well, getting a surgery make this better. Okay, because sometimes you can get better with surgery, or you can get surgery, get better with other treatments. But you won't know unless you get that consult. So go get that consult. Maybe you need the surgery. Once you've gotten that consult and then you make that decision, you're either going to treat with other conservative care, you're going to live with the pain, or you're going to get that surgery. And after surgery, you're going to get whatever physical therapy is needed. Okay? Don't settle your case until you've gotten all the treatment. Obviously, if your treatment takes a long time, you may need to file before the statute of limitations expires. So if you're still getting treatment at that point, obviously go ahead, you need to file it. But if you're to that point, get an attorney, get it filed, because you're not going to want to try and go through the court system and the rules of evidence, because you're going to get bulldozed by the insurance company. But that's typically how your case is going to go, and I'm not going to go into all the details of litigation. That's for another podcast. But that's typically how an auto accident goes. Our office, we usually handle the property damage claim for you. You can feel free to do that on your own. Don't give statements unless your attorney's there with you. Don't give it a statement at all to the other insurance company, because there's no obligation to do it. If it's an uninsured or underinsured motorist claim, you may have an obligation under your policy to give a statement. So you make sure you read the policy and ask your agent or the adjuster for a copy showing that whether or not you need to cooperate and give that statement. So, because you have an obligation under your policy to cooperate. So make sure you know that. Social media is a big factor these days, so don't post things on social media. If you're someone like me, where I record these and I post them, you're going to want to keep that data. Make sure you keep that video, any audio that you have that'll protect you to show that the other person's at fault. But speaking of social media, if you're enjoying this show, if you're enjoying the advice, go on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, follow us, join our Facebook group. Lots of great discussion there. We post information there. You can get in touch with us there. And then also iTunes. If you're enjoying this, give us a 5-star review. We really appreciate it. Helps other people find us. We're the only that I know of the legal motorcycle podcast. I'm the Moto Lawyer. There are motorcycle podcasts, there are legal podcasts. I do have a legal podcast for other attorneys called the Maximum Lawyer Podcast. It's nationally recognized, very popular podcast. So if you're a lawyer, check that out. But otherwise, guys, I'm going to shut this thing down. We'll be in touch. Alright everyone, welcome back to the Moto Lawyer Show. I'm Tyson Mutrux. So we are driving on a small little route from Fulton to Columbia. This is the second half of my route. I recorded one show earlier and now I am back at it. What I want to do, whoa, gotta watch out for this driver. A little crazy there, went over the line. We'll talk about buying motorcycles. Alright, so I recently bought this Indian, which I love, by the way. I got it from Head Motor Company in Columbia, Missouri. I highly recommend them. They really take care of you. So I recommend if you want an Indian, really any used bike, you can go over there and they can find it for you. Eric Meyer over there, he's a good guy. Eric Myers, great guy. Stuart Head, Martha Head, Drew at the front desk, all of them are really great. But we'll talk to you a little bit about, I think there's some misconception about, in Missouri at least, a 3-day rule for purchases of vehicles. I don't know where this came from, but, and there's also some confusion with lemon laws. And sort of what made me thinking about this is that, you know, afterwards, I think anytime you buy a vehicle or any sort of bigger purchase, you sort of think, okay, especially if it's used. I bought this Indian used, which I'm happy with my purchase. I love the used Indian that I got, the Scout. Love it. But there's always this little bit that creeps into your mind thinking, you know what, not was I taken advantage of, but was I, let me stop here and talk to these gents. Good?
Yeah, he spilled it on the corner, man, but he's doing okay.
You good, man? What's out? Thank you.
Yeah, he's okay. My wife, I live right around the corner here. My wife's bringing him some peroxide and a bandage for his arm.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good, man.
Is it running?
Nah, it won't start. It won't start, so.
All right, let's,
Yeah, because I'm going to probably try.
Do you live here?
Yeah, but I'm way on the other side. I'm down by the mall in Columbia.
I'm on the south side. You want me to run? I'll take and get my car.
Yeah, so I got my wife.
Okay. Okay.
So I think I'm gonna be good, man. It's just gonna be me waiting, really.
Okay. You need me to stick around, or you good?
Yeah, I think I'm good.
Okay.
I appreciate you.
Hey, no problem, man.
We're good, man. You got somebody coming? Yeah. I'll live about 3 miles up the road, man. Okay.
Good. Got a lot of people stopping here, so that's good. So in my other episode, I talked about Rex, and that's sucks. His bike's not. He's got a nice Harley. Sucks that he took a spill. So that's the case, you know. He's at fault. He's gonna feel it tomorrow, but poor guy, his handlebars are jacked up. He seems to be okay, so that's a good thing. Just feel bad for the guy. But we're talking about, you know, just that creeping thought that you get when you buy something used, and you think, you know, maybe I didn't get what I thought I got. I don't feel that way at all, so I don't want to imply that with this motorcycle. I don't want to talk. That's just where the idea came from. So, just so you know, this is just about lemon laws in general. Those only apply to, when it comes to vehicles, it only applies to new vehicles, okay? New vehicles, new motorcycles. Those do not apply to used vehicles. So I'm specifically going to be talking about used motorcycles. So what's crucial then, if you're not protected by that, all right, you need to do your due diligence. And so we've got to get this idea out of your mind that you're protected by the lemon law if you get a used vehicle. You're also not protected by this so-called 3-day rule. You don't have 3 business days. You don't have 3 days period to return your used bike. So get that out of your head. So it's on you to do that due diligence at the very beginning to make sure you got what you thought you're getting, what you thought you're getting. Okay, so get your Carfax or any equivalent to that. If you don't know much about bikes, bring someone with you to look at the bikes to see if there's anything wrong with them. All right, especially if any custom additions or subtractions from your bike have been made. Make sure you have them check it out, and even have the mechanic ride the bike, because if you're not a mechanic and don't really know what you're listening for, you're not going to know what to listen for. Okay, so you need to do the checks. You need to have someone looking at it, and so because when it comes to fraud, so if you feel like you've been defrauded, you're not protected unless you go through the motions and make sure you're getting what you think you're getting. All right, so do everything you can to do your negotiations in writing and get confirmations in writing, whether that be text message or email. Okay, so those are the 2 safest probably. Email's better than text just because people lose their phones, people delete texts, people think the cell phone companies keep text messages in their systems, and they don't. All they do keep is the data that shows that a text was sent and a text was received, who sent it, who received it, things like that. People actually don't realize that data is not kept by the cell phone companies. It's kind of crazy, but they don't keep it. And if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. That's a lot of information they'd have to store, and it costs a lot of money for them to do it. So check out that wild looking van over there. I don't know if you call it a hunting van or what, but odd looking van. But so what's your recourse if you did do your due diligence and you did find out, hey, this isn't what I thought it was, they concealed something, they hid something, they changed the VIN number, you know, it could be a variety of things. Then you can sue them for sure. If you think the damages are less than $5,000, take them to small claims court. You can do that on your own. There's no rules of evidence. It only costs $45 for a filing fee. But just know, if it's a mechanical problem, whether you're in small claims court or whatever court, you're going to need a mechanic. You're going to need an expert to testify as to what's wrong with the bike